All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Rodney K. Nichols Jr. I am the fearless host of the Rodney Kendall podcast and the Rodney Kendall Substack. I am your fearless host, and I am so grateful to welcome you back. This is episode 2, season 2, and we are going to do something a little bit different this episode. Traditionally, we try to do things a little bit more structured, but it's actually about uh, 3 a.m. and I could not sleep. And so I felt compelled to come on here and share with you all a few of my thoughts um, this week. It's been a very heavy week for me, and I'm sure for many of you. And so I felt like it was important for me to articulate how I'm feeling in this moment. And um, for those of you listening, it is Thursday, February 19th, 2026. Happy Black History Month. It has been quite a month already. We're only on day 19, and we got about 10 more days to go. So let's just try to get through these next 10 days and make it to March. Happy Ramadan. Happy Lent for those who celebrate. Happy Lunar New Year. I wanted to share with you all um, some thoughts about just everything that's been going on in the past, I would say, um, couple of weeks. So I'm just gonna read it because I put it in a note doc and we can talk about it after I finish. Okay. So I'm always gonna err on the side of we need to give ourselves more grace than we do. And the reason being is that, well, one, we live in a time where everyone is not operating with the same baseline of facts. We live in a time of misinformation and disinformation. And also, we now live in a time of AI deep fakes. So you really got to take a second, and take a beat, before you react. Um, we are living in a time of a government run, state run propaganda, and so you really gotta process that. And also, we really don't underestimate the impact of media illiteracy in these moments, in this time, and the disparities of educational attainment and critical thinking, critical reasoning skills in the United States and abroad, but particularly in this country. So I say all that to say that um, I'm seeing a lot online in my network. Like, I can't understand how we're not in the streets, and why aren't we doing this? Why is everybody just going to work acting like everything's okay? And this is, in regards to the release of the Epstein files, Jeffrey Epstein files. I call them the Trump Epstein files. Um, they're just like, it's not okay. What we're seeing is not okay. What we're hearing is not okay. They stormed the Capitol for January 6th. We should be storming the Capitol, da 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 da. We should be doing this and that. And I think my generation and generations coming up after me. Okay, I'm going ahead and put a little full disclaimer out there. Your boy's turning 39 in a couple of weeks. Okay, so I'm not no spring chicken, but I think that and I mean by we as young people, it's about 300 million people in the United States today. This is not 1965, and the type of mass mobilization that people want to happen right now is happening. but it is not happening at that scale that people want. And I do want to just quickly say, no King's protest, March 28th. Put it on your calendar. That's something for you to do. But one, I want to say, go watch the movie Rustin. Bayard Rustin was the chief architect of the 1965 March on Washington. And he was one of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s key lieutenants. He was a brilliant strategist, community organizer. Um, he ran that march with military precision and made sure that nothing went wrong. Okay. And it took months. And this was in a time of no internet, no social media, no cell phones, none of that. Like, he did this the old fashioned way, on the phone, calling, word of mouth, the real unglamorous work of organizing. And I say that as someone who has been organizing now for almost, well, I can say over 2 decades. Okay. It is not easy. Okay. And so January 6th did not just happen in a vacuum. That is the progress, and that is the outcome and the result of a lot of organizing work. Um, and so the type of mobilization that we want to see is not going to happen overnight. Okay. It just can't. And it can't just happen because of word of mouth. It's going to take a lot of organization and mobilization. And, I think well, one, we are a much more sophisticated society today. And then two, we're also paying a lot less attention as well. I saw something online that said that maybe people spend about, on average, 4 minutes a week looking at politics, reading politics, catching up with politics, that kind of thing. So it is a very, very, very small percentage of our time. I know. For those of you who are listening, you probably find that a little bit hard to believe. Not that everybody's not as politically in tune as I am. Reading CNN and MSNBC and C-SPAN every day, but people have lives, and so I think that for those of us who are, and let me get serious here. Those of us who are politically aware and conscious about what's going on, I think we still have to be gentle with ourselves as well. And I said this on my social media platforms, that we need to have grace with ourselves, because the information that we have received this month has been shocking. Let me be very clear. It has been deeply, deeply disturbing. And it has shocked the conscience of our nation and of our world and our souls. And so I really think that we have to be gentle with how we process this moment, because I think we are all still in a state of collective shock. And so this is just the latest in a series of shocks that we have been in since 2016, since that man came down the golden stairs. But really, since 2020, in the COVID pandemic, this is just the latest of a series of shocks to the nervous system. And so I think that we must do what we have always done in moments like this, and that is rise to our highest calling. And that is not going to be easy, but it is going to be necessary, because this is a lot to handle and it's a lot to process and to synthesize into collective mass action. So that's my thoughts on the broader, themes, and, kind of that's kind of like the framing for the conversation I want to have today. And I wanted to have a more kind of free flowing conversation, because there is so much happening. I'm synthesizing so much. The 100th anniversary of the Black History Month movement, the 250th anniversary or birthday of the United States of America. We were founded in 1776. The Black History Month movement was started by Dr. Carter G. Woodson in 1926. And I situate myself within this 100 years because my grandparents were born in the 1920s. My whole existence starts literally in this centennial. Like my whole framework of life starts in the last century. My grandparents were born in the 20s, and then my parents were born in the 50s and 60s, and then I came about in the 80s. And so for me, this what past 100 years has been everything. It's been everything that has made me me. And it has also been everything that has made our society what it is today. Think about it. 100 years ago, women were just getting the right to vote. We were still going through the Great Depression, world wars. We saw the Harlem Renaissance, and we saw Motown, and the civil rights movement, and Dr. King, and Malcolm X, and Rosa Parks, and Fannie Lou Hamer, and so many people were rising to prominence. To collect Shirley Chisholm ran for president, and then of course laid the groundwork for Jesse Jackson, which rest in peace, has just transitioned and become one of our ancestors. And so much has happened in these last 100 years. We got our first Black president, our first Black vice president, our first Black woman serving on the Supreme Court of the United States. I mean, there has been a tremendous amount of progress, but there has also been a tremendous amount of whitelash, like I like to call it. But I mean, you can call it backlash if you want to. But no. And then I think I'm also contextualizing this within contemporary Black culture and Black politics. In this past month or so, we have seen the unraveling of Black celebrity. Whether it's Diddy and the Diddy documentary, and on Netflix, um, and the full unveiling of his depravity, to the latest Tyra Banks documentary, Reality Check, which really kind of does a look back at America's Next Top Model through the lens of the exploitation of women, um, by the fashion industry and the modeling industry. And also, I can't mention Tyra and not say Naomi has also caught some strays. Naomi Campbell is mentioned in the Epstein files more than 500 times, I believe. And so we are seeing the collective, and my brother Cat Williams just released his stand-up comedy special, and he does not take his foot off of the brake either. And in his continued um, examination of the Black comedy space. And so much is happening. So much is happening. We're seeing, so much unraveling, and so much reckoning, and so much revealing, and so much unscaffolding, at the same time as that we are being called to reflect on the past 100 years and what it took for us to get here. How did we all get here? Why are we all here? And what is it going to take for us to move forward together? And so that is a lot. And I wanted to just come on and share those thoughts. Many people are feeling hopeless, and I understand that. But I want to offer a few words of wisdom. Well, first, I want to say, for those who are celebrating, happy Lent, happy Ramadan, happy Lunar New Year. This is a moment of reflection. I know a lot of us want to act, but I challenge us to do some deep studying, and to do some deep prayer and meditation, and to be still in this moment. What we are experiencing is what I like to refer to as emotional warfare. And I had the privilege of sitting in on a conversation, a Black student roundtable last night, which was so inspiring. I love our Gen Z. I love this young generation. They are not playing, and folks are gonna f around and find out. Okay, and I'm just so proud of them. I want to give a shout out to my sister, Tiffany Dina Lofton, at the United States Student Association, for putting together an amazing event last night. But one of the things that one of the young people, I think his name is, I'm gonna try to give him a shout out here. I think his name is what is his name? I think it's Jamal. I think it's I want to say I'm gonna get this right too, brother. He had a great point last night, brother. Dynamic young brother from Atlanta. I gotta get this right. Brother James Wilson. I want to give him a shout out. Georgia State student body president. He talked about that this administration is not winning, honey. They are bunch of loud bullies. But if you actually look at the substance of what they are actually accomplishing, they just got one bill signed, that big ugly bill. Okay, so they ain't really getting much done other than causing a whole bunch of chaos and confusion. And rest in peace to Alex Preddy and Renee Good. Um, they're terrorizing our communities and trying to instill fear, and they are murdering people and unaliving people, I should say. We got to keep an eye on ICE. I am certainly in favor of abolishing ICE. The misconduct of the Customs and Border Protection Agency, we need to do a full investigation and hold everybody accountable. And some people need to be criminally prosecuted. Let's be clear, but they're just a bunch of bullies, And what have I told you time and time again? Go back to elementary school. How do you deal with a bully? You don't cave and give in to them. You stand up to them and you show them that you are not going to tolerate that foolishness. And 9 times out of 10, they will back down because they are all talk, okay, and no walk. So we have got to push back politely, respectfully. Um, you know, Violence is not the answer, but passive uh, resistance, civil disobedience, nonviolent resistance. You know, go back and look at Selma. Dr. King showed us the blueprint. None of this is new. Reverend Jesse Jackson showed us the blueprint. Brother John Lewis showed us the blueprint when he got hit by that bully club. And so I want to give a shout out, especially to Brother Professor Mark Lamont Hill, because he really called on our young people to understand that this is dangerous work. Speaking up, and I took some notes last night from the forum, um, which I might share with you all. But many of us young people can know folks in our lives who were the first to integrate their schools and who got bullied and picked on and called names and had to fight, because they were, integrating their first school in their cities. And so this is going to be the work that we must do. And it is not going to be fun and it is not going to be easy and it sometimes ain't going to be safe. But we have to really ask ourselves, if you aren't willing to put your life on the line for something, are you really living a life worth living? And if not you, then who? And if not for what, then when? And so I think that we need to take a beat. Okay, let's enjoy Black History Month. I'm doing a very, very um, important social media special highlighting Virginia's first, everything from Black mayors to Black governors to everything. So go check it out on Rodney at Rodney for Virginia, on Instagram and X, Blue Sky. Please follow me on Facebook, Rodney for Virginia, and also on, of course, Substack and my podcast, the Rodney Kendall Podcast and the Rodney Kendall Substack, to see those Black History specials and highlights. But yeah, I think it's going to call on us to do some deep study and some deep shadow work. And if you do need to go out into the streets, because Mark talked about y'all that like to go into the streets and get arrested, y'all professional agitators. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to call y'all on your stuff, but y'all don't show up to the community organizing meeting or the town hall meeting or city council meeting. So get your life together, okay? And this is for me too, because all politics are local, and I need to be more intentional about showing up at local meetings, whether that's school board meetings, planning commission meetings, I'm on the Planning District Commission, so I am showing up to those. So kudos to me. But no, we can all do more locally. I was so grateful that I had the opportunity to be on the Virginians for Fair Elections call last night for the redistricting movement. And for those of us who are in Virginia, guess what? It's time to vote again. I know. Yes, y'all, it is time to vote again. So put on your calendars. March 6th is the beginning of early voting for this special election. We have a very special election coming up on April 23rd to allow Virginia to adjust our congressional maps temporarily so that we have more adequate and fair representation in the U.S. Congress. And so please, 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 and I'll share some more information about it later, but um, check your registration, y'all, because they are not playing with us with this voter ID, y'all. They're trying to pass the SAVE Act, which would essentially require you to bring your birth certificate and your passport to vote. So I know many of y'all don't got no passports, and Lord knows you can't find your birth certificates. Child, do you even know? Let me not go there. Um, so check your voter registration status and make sure that you have the proper protocols and procedures in place. If you need to update your voter registration, update your voter registration. If you need to request absentee ballot, request absentee ballot. If you need to go to the polls on the first day of early voting, go to the polls on the first day of early voting. Make a plan, okay? Because they are going to be playing some foolishness. And if this SAVE Act passed next week, child, some of y'all, poll tax 2026. That's all I'm gonna say. But no, seriously, let me stop being silly. So save the date. There's a lot of really exciting things coming up. Well, I don't know if exciting is the right word. Uh, February is traditionally the State of the Union. And so this year, the State of the Union is going to be on February 24th. Democrats and MoveOn.org, as well as Midas Touch, are organizing a People's State of the Union, which is going to take place on February 24th at 8:30 p.m. It is going to be streamed on MoveOn.org/live. It's going to be a lot of really cool people there. Some people are protesting the President's State of the Union. Me myself, I'm going to watch it. And the reason why is because I am a student of politics and I have a responsibility to bear witness to what this man says. I'm also going to watch his Black History Month reception because I have to speak the truth and stand in the breach, and push back against the propaganda and the gaslighting and hold him and power accountable. But I fully support those of you who are boycotting. I fully support those of you who are going to be standing up in protest. I do know that there are going to be members of Congress that are going to be bringing guests to the House floor who have been victims of ICE. And so I support that and I stand in full solidarity with that and with those victims and survivors. I do believe there are going to be some survivors of the Epstein scandal, so I support that as well. Release all of the files and hold people accountable. We don't need resignations. We need prosecutions and indictments, paying bond. But listen, let me focus. So save the date for that. The Clintons are going to be testifying before the House Oversight Committee regarding their connections to Jeffrey Epstein. So I would highly encourage folks to tune into that. That is going to be on the 26th and 27th, I believe. Yep, the 27th. Yep, 26th and 27th. Oh, I got a good memory. So yeah, the Clintons are going to be testifying before the House Oversight Committee, and it's going to be filmed and transcribed live. So, and they're going to be naming their connections to Jeffrey Epstein and all interactions with him, and answering questions by both members of both sides of the aisle. I do want to also just one more time note that you need to contact your member of Congress, House.gov, Senate.gov. You can call the Capitol switchboard 202-224-3121. Again, that is 202-224-3121. Let them know that you want to see the Department of Justice release the full unredacted Trump Epstein files, and that you want to see public hearings from the Oversight Committee holding the co conspirators accountable, questioning them, and asking them what they knew, when they knew it, why they knew it, where they knew it, and how. And that you need to see justice be done for these victims. I want you to also let them know that you do not support the SAVE Act. Your U.S. senators tell them to vote no on the SAVE Act. Senator John Thune is going to try to bring that to the Senate floor next week. So tell them to vote no on the SAVE Act. So call your member of the House. Tell them you want to see the House Oversight Committee hold the Epstein survivors accountable, and then of course tell um, your member of the House that you want to see those victims be supported, and you want justice for the victims. Keep it short, keep it sweet. 15 seconds is all you need to do. Okay, I'm calling to demand the full release of the Epstein files. I want to see real accountability. The public deserves to know why those implicated have not been named, investigated, indicted. Why hasn't justice been delivered for the victims? Where are you standing on this? Okay, that's all you got to say. That's all you got to do. And then, of course, if you're calling a U.S. senator, tell them to vote no on the SAVE Act. Okay, so that is the main things I wanted to say and talk to y'all about today. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. So one thing also I want to close with is for those of us here in Virginia, the legislature has just crossed over. Okay, so crossover is when the bills come from one side of the house and go to the other side of the house. So if you start in the house, you go over to the Senate. If you start in the Senate, you go over to the House. They got to get along. They got to get it together and get on one accord and pass the bills in both houses before it goes to the governor. And of course, here in Virginia, our governor is Abigail Spanberger. So I want to give a big shout out to all of our delegates and our senators for getting their bills out of the House of Origins and over to the other house. And I want to give a special shout out to our new delegates and our new senators. We have 8 black senators, state senators, y'all. 2, 4, 6, 8. 8, isn't that amazing? And it's majority women. 5 women and 3 men. And so shout out to them. Happy Black History Month. And so I want you all to register to vote and check your voter registration status, y'all. I can't say this enough. They are going to be trying to block the vote. And again, tell your senators to vote no on the SAVE Act. Okay, so those are your calls to action for February on a Black History Month. Good luck to the NBA players for All Stars. Wasn't the Super Bowl amazing? I'm still in the afterglow, and Grammys too. The Grammys was just fantastic this year. Shout out to King Kendrick, and shout out to King J Cole. I'm sorry, I'm gonna give him some love because I think he did an amazing job on this album. And congratulations again to Pharrell for getting the Dr. Dre Legendary Award, Lifetime Award. March 28th is the No Kings protest. For those of you who want to go outside, I know a lot of us been in the house because it's been snowing and been cold and stuff like that. But for those of y'all who just got to go outside and do something, I'm guilty too because I get a little antsy. March 28th, No Kings protest. Find a No Kings protest in your city, in your town. Get connected with your local Indivisible group or your local Black Lives Matter group or whatever group. Planned Parenthood, Sister District, League of Women Voters. I don't care who you do. Get involved with your local church, okay? Call Jesus. Do something, but just do something in your local community, okay? Go to your school board meeting. Go to your city council. Go to your planning commission. But all politics are local. Local. Find out who is your county registrar. Find out who is on your city council. Find out who's on your school board. Find out who is on your planning commission. That is where the power is. That is where your power is. your sheriff, your DA, your Commonwealth's attorney. Those are the people that you need to be in conversation with. I sound like somebody granddaddy, somebody uncle. I am uncle. I'm Uncle Rodney now, y'all. One more thing I want to say before I let y'all go. My birthday's coming up March 10th, so I'm really excited about that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your prayers and your support. This has been a labor of love. We got a redistricting amendment coming up here in Virginia, y'all. So we got to vote. We got to show up. And there are going to be canvases and phone banks every week between now and April 23rd. If you are able and willing, sign up for a phone bank. I signed up for one. Sign up for a canvas. I signed up for one. I don't know if I'm going to go, but I'm going to try to go. Lord willing, I'm going to go. But no, sign up. Get involved in the local level. I know everybody ain't a Democrat. That's okay. We don't just discriminate. We take Republicans and independents too. But sign up and canvass and phone bank. And for those of you in other states who don't have special elections coming up this spring, like us here in Virginia and Texas, shout out to my girl Jasmine, and shout out to my boy James too, because we got two great Democrats running for the Texas United States Senate. But you can sign up to phone bank online. Go to Mobilize, and you can sign up to do that. All the links will be available for you all in the comments and in the show notes. March 28th, No King's Protest. For those of you who want to do something. And I want to give a shout out to the Chesapeake Democrats who are organizing every week, every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. at the corner of Battlefield Boulevard and Volvo Parkway. And especially special shout out to my brother in the movement, Jim Lang, and my sister, Nancy Pettigrew, who are organizing those efforts. Shout out to Red, Wine, and Blue. Shout out to Invisible Southampton Roads. They are organizing every week, Saturday morning at 10 a.m., protesting. I saw some children up in Charlottesville, high school students at a walkout, and they were protesting. Join one of those movements. Get you a sign and do that if you got to do something, okay? But do not take the bait. They want to bait us. They want to see us out in the streets like 2020, like George Floyd, so they can exact police brutality and misconduct on us. Don't take the bait. Don't take the bait. Instead, do the much less gratifying work that does not reward your dopamine and get involved at the local level. Become a community organizer. Plug into the local NAACP chapter. Shout out to the Chesapeake branch. Shout out to the Virginia State Conference. That's the work. Okay. All right, y'all. I didn't give y'all all I can give. Well, that's not true. But I gave y'all what I'm going to give right now. All right. And that's all I got to say. But thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for supporting the Rodney Kendall podcast. That's it. That's all. The Rodney Kendall podcast is a production of R&N Strategies. If you have any questions or comments about the show, or would like to suggest show ideas, or would like to be a guest on the Rodney Kendall podcast, please feel free to reach out to me at rnstrategies@gmail.com. Thank you again for listening. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Be gentle with yourselves. Protect your joy. Protect your soul. Protect your spirit. Protect your smile. And get out and touch some grass if you got to. Okay? But we're going to be all right. We will get through this. We will not yield. We will not bend. We will not break. We will survive. This is Rodney K. Nichols Jr. This is the Rodney Kendall Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in.